Hey everyone, my name is Jake Tonkel, 2020 candidate for San Jose City Council District 6. I'm here today with Christina Dunbar, who set up a little food pantry in her front yard to help people in need during COVID-19. I want to welcome Christina on. Welcome, Christina.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Of course, happy to highlight you. It's really inspiring for me, someone that's bouncing around trying to volunteer all the time, to know that there's so many other people out there that are doing good work. So thank you for that.
It's really nothing. I was not working as much, and I got really concerned about, what the future holds for our community. So I thought, well, what can I do that's low risk for me, but still might make a high impact? And that was one of the things that I came up with.
Awesome. So we have a lot of little free libraries around, but it's very rare that I've seen these little free pantries. Was this an organization you were connected for before the COVID emergency?
It wasn't, actually. So my mom was a librarian, a school librarian, while I was growing up. She's retired now. And I thought about getting her a little free library for our front lawn as like a birthday present. And as I started doing some research, I found the little free pantry program, but it's only been around for a few years. And considering the situation we've been in, normally they're in like boxes that you can put in your front lawn. I didn't really want to ask my dad to make me a box, or I didn't want to go buy one. It just seemed like extra shipping and extra steps and going to Home Depot and not really worth it. So I put up a pop-up tent in my front lawn, and I put out a like foldable, collapsible plastic table, put up some signs in multiple languages that just said, take what you need, leave what you can. And the very first day it was out there, I had posted to Nextdoor, and everything was gone. So day 2, had to go back to Smart and Final, had to get more stuff. And by day 4, the whole project had been self-sustaining. People were leaving food, people were picking up food. I don't think I've put more than a couple bucks into some ramen and some ice in the last couple of days. Everything has been community donated. And I do my best to make sure that everything is within date, nothing's expired. And then I wipe it down with Clorox wipes several times a day just to be sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So when you say self-sustaining, is this something you're coordinating through Nextdoor, or it's just people that are walking by, have seen the table, and now know that they can leave stuff on their way home?
It's both. So I live on a very busy street, and because of that, I see a lot of people that drive by and then they just kind of look at it and they think that it's like a garage sale or something, and then they turn around and then they'll realize what it is. A lot of my interactions have been through Nextdoor. I try and do like not just the local community, but all of the communities around. And then the other thing I've been utilizing is on Facebook right now. They have a COVID information center, and you can either offer or request help. And so I've been taking the posts that I've been putting on Nextdoor and I put it up as offering help. And then people message me on there for my address, and I'll let them know where to come find me.
Awesome. And so you were saying that it's hot out now, we're heading into summer. What adaptation have you made to make it a little bit safer for residents, keep the food clean and healthy?
Yeah, so because of the heat, we don't have anything out today, not anything on our front lawn, because I notice when it gets hot, like even just like a bag of beans starts sweating. So you get like those beads of perspiration on the inside. And it just didn't seem like a really healthy thing for me to be offering people. So what I did is I instead went on all of my posts and I said, hey, if you're interested in stopping by, just send me a message ahead of time. And what I will do is I will put together a little bag and leave it on my front porch whenever you're ready to come by. So usually they tell me it's like 6 p.m. or 3 p.m. or I had somebody knock on my door today while I was on with my students at like 10 a.m. And she was just like, I heard there was food here. And I was like, all right, what do you need? Let me take this, let me handle this for you. So now the chair outside has a sign that said, if you're here for the food, ring the doorbell.
Thank you for that. I guess we'll delve into your background a little bit. So you have some students, you're a teacher?
I'm what's called a paraeducator. So I work with students that are in the special ed system.
And
Yeah.
go ahead.
I actually work at Hoover Middle School, which is in our district. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. And what's that transition been like for you? Tell us a little bit about switching from everything being online now, I guess.
It's the hardest thing for me is when you're working in a small classroom, you develop like really meaningful relationships with your students. And it's hard not being able to hang out with them. They have all their little personalities, and being able to see them grow and learn in person has been a hard adjustment. And then the other thing that's happened is there is a tech gap. So some days we'll see some kids and some days we won't see other kids. And there are a few we haven't seen at all because they just don't have access to technology. And we've done our best to remedy it, but sometimes it just doesn't work. So that's been the hardest. There's been like 2 or 3 of them that we just haven't really seen. But we're doing our best, the best we can do.
Yeah, of course. And thank you for that. I mean, it's been very interesting to see how the COVID emergency has really exacerbated some of the inequity that we have, even, local in our own district, within our own school systems.
Yeah.
It's something that I think we were doing a really good job laying out for people in the primary and want to continue to focus on now that we're in this emergency. But again, the way that we build community is by people stepping up and knowing if they have a little bit of elbow room, they have a little bit of free time, that they can do something impactful and meaningful. And so again, thank you for just taking that initiative, because it's really what keeps us together in emergencies like this.
Oh, well, thank you. But like people keep thanking me all the time, and I've literally told my neighbors, I'm like, I did nothing. I set up the table and I made the posts. Like, you are the ones sustaining this project. Like, you are the ones helping other people. I'm just the home of all the food. And, I would like to encourage folks, if they've got little free libraries, maybe consider converting them or putting out a box, or if you've got like lemons, or, I live in an area where there used to be a lot of orchards. So oranges, anything you got going on that has appeal, so you don't have to worry about if someone can wash it or not in the moment, put it out there. You'd be really surprised how quickly things go, because the county is doing a really good job to try and fill those gaps and to help people out. There's always going to be a need that sometimes folks just can't get to.
Yeah, and it brings me to the little talking point you had while we were getting ready to start here about what goes the fastest in these pantries.
Kid snacks, Capri Suns, Pop-Tarts, granola bars with chocolate chips, cookies, sugary cereals, Gushers. I had a box of Pop-Tarts out there, and it was gone within a half an hour. Somebody gave me a whole bag of Twizzlers, and they were out on the table, and within an hour there was like a group of kids that were biking by, and so much of it was gone. And I was listening to them, and one of the kids was like, oh, you shouldn't take that, you should only take that, these are for homeless people. And I heard the girl, and I'm very proud of her for advocating for herself. She was like, I don't have this at home and I want some Twizzlers. And so I just opened up the door and I stuck my head out and I was like, take them, like, go take them. Yeah. They're for you. And she was like, thank you. And I was like, you're welcome. Like, go enjoy your life. Like, have some Twizzlers.
Yeah.
But yeah, kids' food is the number one thing that moves so fast.
And I think what that really highlights is those kind of snacks are a luxury for families right now. People that are just barely getting by, below getting by, and their focus is going to be on, whatever meal can feed the most people for the longest amount of time, beans, etc. The city, the county has been doing kind of the same thing. I know the school districts have been putting out food as well, where those little things that get people through the day, a cookie to make it a little happier, again, that's building community, that's helping people out. And it's cool to see that it turns into this self-sustaining community-based model, because we know there's enough food out there for everybody.
Yeah.
It's getting it to people. We're not in a food shortage. It's a distribution problem, and it takes all of us to step in, and just really heartwarming to know that that's happening around you and in that community, and whatever we can do to help spread that is super exciting.
Yeah, I'm really proud of the community. I live in an area that's a little bit more well off than some other places. Like, there are multi-million-dollar homes behind me. I do not live in one. But because of where I'm located and I'm on this busy street, it hasn't mattered. And the whole reason that I really thought about this was when I was in college, I went through a period of my life where I was not eating. I had made some really bad financial decisions, and I didn't want to run to my parents and be like, hey, look, I can't survive on my own. And I relied on my friends to give me food. And it was a really embarrassing thing for me to ask. And because I had never experienced hunger before. I didn't, I would think about going places, and then I was like, oh no, but like the food bank is for people that really need it. And then one time my mentor looked at me and she was like, okay, yeah, but Christina, when's the last time you ate a real meal? And I was like, 2 days ago, 3 days ago. She was like, go get food.
Yeah.
And I think, I read a statistic that we're expecting the folks to have more difficulties as things go further. I know, some of my friends are on unemployment. They still haven't gotten their checks yet. There's a whole bunch of processing stuff that's going on. So if I could make getting food more approachable, where you're not having to go somewhere, you can just walk up, take some food, take a packet of resources, no questions asked. I felt like that was a way to really help people that might be experiencing hunger for the first time feel like there were people that were seeing them, and that it's not something for them to be ashamed about.
That's very sweet, and I appreciate you opening up about your own personal story like that. Before the emergency, I think it was 1/3 of children in the US were food insecure. This is unfortunately a problem that is exacerbated, not a problem that is new to us. Even within our own city, we have a lot of food insecure families, and so the hope is as well, we take the lessons that we're learning about community organizing, about getting together as neighbors and putting forward solutions after the emergency, so that we can continue to address these disparities as we go on in the next couple of decades, and hopefully solve some of them sooner rather than later, because we know it's going to be a big challenge for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I also know you're doing a little bit other volunteer work, and there are some shout outs to organizations that could use some help that you just wanted to mention here. And we would love to get people that are watching or listening involved as well, because I know there have been people that said, oh, well, the county at Silicon Valley Strong has done a great job, but hasn't necessarily found a place for me to volunteer yet. There's all those types of mishaps in volunteer coordination. If you know people that are interested, shout them out and tell us what they do.
Yeah, so I've been volunteering almost once a week. Sometimes I have to give myself some time off at Second Harvest Food Bank and Sacred Heart Community Services in downtown. So Sacred Heart, all of their services are primarily right now food and meal distribution. And I will tell you, from the first week that I started, the amount of volunteers has gone down, but the people waiting for food has just steadily increased. So they have 2 shifts a day. If you're interested, they're really great folks. And then if you're looking at volunteer opportunities, but you're in an agency and everybody's kind of overwhelmed right now, there are some extra steps with this, but I also volunteer for an organization called Team Rubicon, which is a primarily veterans-based organization, but you can be a civilian and still join, they'll take you. And it's disaster-based, but considering that things are kind of interesting right now. I'm going on one of my first missions with them. For the rest of the week, we're going to be delivering food to seniors that can't leave their houses. And all I did was fill out a form and watch a video, and I'm ready to go. So there are a bunch of different opportunities out there, and I would say that if you're wanting to do something hands-on, people in the city are like waiting for you because their volunteer bases are just a lot lower than they usually are. You don't have to do it every day, a couple hours a week, one shift. If you don't want to overexpose yourself, that's awesome. It's still helping folks when they need it the most.
Yeah. And then they say a lot of hands make light work.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's something that we've known as well. I've been at Sherman Oaks Elementary School the last couple of Fridays, packing food for weekend lunches for people, and the same kind of thing. If we have 15 people, we're done in 30 minutes early, and if we only have 4 or 5, it takes us a little bit longer. We're trying to pack food as people drive up. So even just an hour or two, there's a lot of ways to jump in and help out, and we're so grateful to everybody that does. It's really awesome.
Yeah, I am too.
Well, thank you so much for jumping on with us, Christina. I really appreciate it.
Of course, thank you so much for having me. I feel really honored, and I'm excited that I get to talk to people more about all of this good stuff that we've got going on.
Perfect. For everybody out there, listening, please get involved. Share this video with friends, family, so that they can figure out how easy it is to take some of these steps into engagement. It can be as simple as just adding food to somebody else's table, adding food to somebody else's pantry, and then scaling up until you're, hands-on involved in some of these distribution efforts. There's a lot to do, and every little bit does help. So thank you all, and have a great Tuesday.
Oh, it's Tuesday.